Hi, Ian. How you doing, man?
I'm all right, Travis. How are you?
I'm good, man. This is a real pleasure for me. Yeah, been a big fan of yours for a long time, so this is a real treat to
Thank
talk
you.
with you about American Star. I assume it's which is probably great for you to be on this end of the kind of Hitman game to actually be uh, the Hitman himself in this movie. But this is a different kind of movie. It's more of a character study. Talk to me about your role as Wilson in this movie.
Well, I made another film with Gonzalo, the director, called Hollow Point about 6 years
Mhm.
ago, and which is a really good movie too. He's an excellent filmmaker,
Yeah.
and he came up with this idea about 6 years ago, and worked on it with the script with Nacho, and then I brought in my producer Mike Elliott a couple of years ago, and then we had this opportunity to make this. And when was it? We made it in the middle of 2022 with in Fuerteventura, which is Canary Islands. He also lives in the Canary Islands, Gonzalo. And it
Wow.
was a character study of a guy who's on maybe his last mission, who knows, lonely. He used to be in the army, special ops, and he gets involved, which is the last thing anybody should ever do in that profession. He gets involved on the island. He likes the atmosphere. He stays. There's an intelligence failure at the beginning, which makes him stay a couple of days, which he shouldn't have done. And he becomes involved in areas that always, as he said, the first rule is don't get involved, and he does. And there's a consequence, whatever ensues in the movie. Did you like the movie? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I did
Yeah.
enjoy it because I sort of the assassin hitman genre of movie is my favorite. Like it's always been my favorite.
Yeah.
And for me, it was good to see because you kind of read the synopsis, one last mission, one last one last kill sort of thing. We see that a lot, but we don't normally see it from this perspective, and this done as a character study like this. So I
Well, because
appreciate that.
I think it's good because usually it just concentrates on what his and the operative, whatever. But this is more bringing other people into it, and he's a kind of a loner guy who suddenly has found himself, involved. Well, not involved on the level of that, but I mean, with the Nora, the girl who plays, who I think is terrific, and
Yeah.
Fanny plays her mother, and then the son of his ex best friend, who he lost in the Falkland Islands when in the war there, who he's brought into the business. And I think at the end of it, it's a character study about what he has wrought in a way, brought upon himself and other people. And it's like, and at the end, I like the ending, which is, was it a dream? Was it real? Was it whatever?
Hmm.
It's an aspect of life. It tells a story. I think, it's like all good movies that they take you somewhere else for an hour and a half. That's good.
This seems like a character and your personal involvement in getting the movie made. Uh, did you have any like say on the development of the character? He seems
Oh
like a
yeah,
character you're
no,
really
no. Well, I'll
attuned
tell
to.
you, when we did the original movie, Hollow Point, we became fast friends, and he called me like 2017, 18, and said, "I have this idea for a film." So I've been involved from the beginning with the script. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was Gonzalo's creation with Nacho Ferner, but they brought me in almost instantly. So over 3 years, we talked about the script, which we developed, and then brought Mike Elliott in, who I previously worked with on a Woody Allen movie back in 2005. And Mike Elliott, the producer from Emu Pictures, which is a very respected English independent outfit. And we managed to find the investors, the Spanish investors and the British investors, and it all came together very quickly at the end of 2021. We had like a 3 month opening, like a 3 month avenue to make the movie, and we did. And it was one of the best. It was maybe one of the best experiences I've ever had. 5 weeks on this Fuerteventura, which is called a windy island, which it is indeed a windy island. But it's quite extraordinary because the landscape is very North African,
Mhm.
it's very unusual. The Canary Islands are an unusual place. They're off North Africa. They're not really near Spain. I mean, it's a 4 hour flight from England. And we just had a great shoot, no producers looking over your shoulder. Nobody, nobody who answered to except yourselves, and you could make the film that you wanted to make. And this is the film that we wanted to make, and it's out there.
I was gonna say this seemed like it might have been like a really like a really chill, relaxing shoot, and on in a gorgeous location. Was
Yeah.
it? What? So it was like that. There was it was it? It might have been a smaller production, but it seemed really relaxed
No, it wasn't very,
to
it
match
was
the
very
pace of
much
the movie.
that way. We stayed in the actual hotel that we filmed in, which is one of those mass sort of people you book up for everything. You know, they give you it's one of those hotels you book, and it's either like, you don't have dinner, you do have dinner, but mostly they sort of, it's all in.
Mm,
Everything is all in. The hotel's there. And this is mainly an island of German tourists. I mean, it's a fascinating place, the Canary Islands. And as she said at one point, it's a place where people, either you're a tourist or you're running from something. And
yeah.
he said, well, I'm just visiting.
See that this is one of the things I want to ask you about, because one of the things I like about you and I like about you in this movie, you always seem to be like the coolest guy in every scene, right? The scene, I don't know what it is, but in this movie too, like your character in this one, he reminds me of those commercials, the most interesting man in the world. Like he doesn't say he doesn't say a lot, but he just like exudes this atmosphere of like this enigmatic atmosphere about him and like this charisma. And I'm curious how you bring that to every movie and how you brought that to this movie, because I think it's just perfect.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. Well, it was nice to take on the mantle after sort of, looking at after being involved in John Wick for so long over a period of 10 years and of appearing as Winston, who is you don't quite know, is he John Wick's father? Is he related to John
Right.
Wick? Is his mentor, or was he an ex-assassin himself? Whatever. It was nice to take on the role of somebody who was sort of, of this character, Wilson, who is, as you say, on his last job. But I let Gonzalo direct the movie. I mean, I trust him very much so. We worked very closely together, and he'd already planned it out before we made the movie. So it was very much of, we rehearsed for a couple of days. I mean, we got on the island about 5 days before we started the movie. The cast were there. We did a couple of days of testing and rehearsals, and then just bang. And the great thing about doing movies like this is that you can concentrate just on making the movie. There's nothing to take away in the evenings from what you're doing except a lovely meal, glass of wine, if that's your prerogative, whatever, and get up in the morning and go to work. And that's what we did. And the locations were terrific. Great cameraman who Gonzalo always worked with, Jose David Montero, I think did an extraordinary job of projecting the images that Gonzalo wanted, which is very much it's told from Wilson's point of view.
Hmm.
Uh, on the other characters, um, I mean, it's not it's a character. As you said, it's a character study. So, I mean, I've seen it obviously because I was hugely involved with this from the beginning. But it's a movie I'm very proud of, and I'm glad to see it's going to sort of that we've managed to get people interested and out there because it's been very difficult the last few years with movies, whatever, that,
Yeah.
especially with independents that
Yeah.
they tend to go straight to video, but this has got a chance of being seen on a big screen for a few days in New York, and they'll open in Europe later in the month or like in February, whatever. And, yeah, it's nice. It's happening.
Well, Ian, this has been fantastic, man. I really appreciate this, and I wish you and Gonzalo the best of luck with American Star. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.